What would you do if the woman you waited 6 years to marry became a stranger just 4 months after the wedding? I planned beach dates, candlelit dinners, even believed her late nights at the office were just work. But one weekend she asked me to take a photo in the bath, and that's when everything changed. Before we get into the sweet part, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because tomorrow's video is quite interesting. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. My name's Lucas. I used to believe love could survive anything: long distance, pressure, stress, even time. That belief died about 4 months into my marriage. I met Erin nearly 6 years before we got married. She had this quiet intelligence about her, the kind that didn't try to command the room but somehow always did. And for a while, I believed it too. We tied the knot in June 2021. COVID was still shaking things up, so we had to cancel our original venue and go with a scaled-down wedding on the coast. But honestly, it felt perfect. The breeze, the ocean, our closest friends and family. It was beautiful. That day, she looked at me like I was the only man who existed, and I held on to that look longer than I should have. The first few weeks of marriage felt pretty normal, but as summer turned to fall, something shifted. At first it was subtle. Erin started going into the office more, even though we'd both been working from home comfortably for over a year. She worked for a large consulting firm that had started reopening gradually, so it made some sense. She told me she needed a change of scenery and that being around her coworkers helped her stay motivated. But then she started pulling away. We used to spend weekends exploring new restaurants, walking the trails behind our house, or binge crime documentaries with our dog curled up at our feet. Now, she was too tired or had plans with her riding group. She rode horses as a hobby, and it started consuming all her free time. It wasn't like her to spend full weekends at the stables without so much as a check dash in dot at first. I thought maybe it was just the marriage blues people talk about, that weird adjustment period after the high of the wedding, so I doubled down. I planned regular date nights, booked couples massages, tried to talk about her day over dinner. But everything I did seemed to annoy her. I remember one night I made this elaborate homemade pasta fettuccine with sun-dried tomato cream sauce, her favorite. She barely touched it and spent half the dinner scrolling on her phone. When I asked if everything was okay, she looked up and said, "Lucas, not everything needs to be some romantic gesture. You're not in a movie." That hurt more than I'd admit. She started making jabs at me too. She'd roll her eyes when I talked about work wins, saying things like, "Well, it's not like you're pushing boundaries or anything." That stung. I was doing well, just got a big bonus actually. But she made me feel like I was coasting through life while she was the one hustling. I even started questioning if maybe she was right. Eventually, I couldn't ignore the gut feeling anymore. Something wasn't right. Erin was constantly on her phone, staying late at the office, locking her laptop screen every time I walked by. The emotional wall between us was getting thicker by the week, and no matter how much I tried to reach through it, she just pulled further away. I started losing sleep, tossing and turning next to a woman who no longer touched me, looked at me, or even seemed to care that I was there. Still, I tried one more thing. In October, I booked us a romantic weekend at a beach resort a few hours away. I hoped the sound of the waves and a couple of nights away from work would reignite something. Anything. The drive there was quiet. She stared out the window most of the time, barely responding when I asked if she was excited. At dinner that first night, I told her I loved her. She didn't say it back. Later, we went back to the hotel room. I ran her a bubble bath, trying to make the moment feel special. She stepped in without a word and asked if I'd take a photo of her for her phone. I was confused. It was a pretty revealing angle, the kind you'd expect in a private message. "Not on a honeymoon-style weekend with your husband." I laughed awkwardly and said, "You're not really going to post this on social media, right?" She glanced over her shoulder and said, flatly, "That's not what I'm using it for." My heart dropped. For the first time, I knew that I wasn't just being paranoid. I didn't say anything right away. I lay on the bed in silence, while she soaked in that tub, completely unaware that the man lying in the same room was unraveling inside. That night, we didn't touch. She turned her back to me and went to sleep, like I wasn't even there. I stared at the ceiling for hours, my mind spinning. Who was she sending that photo to? Why was she so cold? And why did she seem almost smug? By morning, I couldn't hold it in any longer. While we were getting ready for breakfast, I asked her directly, "Are you seeing someone else?" She scoffed. "Lucas, don't be ridiculous." I didn't blink. I already know. I've seen the messages. I just want you to tell me the truth. That was a lie. I hadn't seen anything. Then something changed in her face. Like a weight had been lifted. She shrugged. "Fine. Yes. I've been sleeping with someone. My boss." The words hit like a train. I remember my knees buckling slightly as I tried to steady myself on the dresser. I couldn't breathe. It was like someone had slammed a vacuum into my chest and sucked out all the air. She said it like it wasn't a big deal, like this was just a formality. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. He's married, she added, with kids. But he said he's planning to leave her. I almost threw up. You've been with him this whole time? I asked, voice cracking. Since August, she said. Without emotion, it was October. I had spent the last 2 months trying to save our marriage. While she was busy falling for a man who had 2 kids and a wedding ring, my wife, the woman who said forever under the arch by the sea, I collapsed onto the bed and felt the edges of a panic attack for the first time in my life. My chest burned, my hands went numb, I was sweating, shaking, gasping for air. I didn't recognize my own body. She stood there, arms crossed, like she was waiting for me to stop being dramatic. Eventually I did. I looked up at her and asked, why? Why would you throw all of this away for someone who isn't even yours, who never once doubted her until now? That's when I realized I didn't know Aaron at all. The version of her I loved was a mask. The real woman was standing in front of me, cold, detached, selfish. She didn't even wait for me to leave. She changed my flight while I was in the bathroom washing my face and told me I was flying out that night, back to my parents' house. She said she'd mail me my clothes, like I was a guest overstaying my welcome. I didn't cry. I just nodded, grabbed my small overnight bag, and walked out of that hotel room without looking back. But before I boarded my flight, I did one last thing. I found her boss's wife on Facebook, and I hit send. The flight home felt like one long exhale after months of holding my breath. I stared out the tiny window as the city lights disappeared beneath me, trying to wrap my head around what had just happened. Erin, my wife of only 4 months, had not only cheated on me, but done it so effortlessly. Like we were a phase she had already outgrown. When I landed at my parents' house, my mom hugged me the way moms do when they know something's wrong before you say a word. I told them the bare minimum. Aaron and I were separating, and I needed a few days to get my head straight. My dad didn't say much, but I could tell he was angry, not just at her, but at the pain etched across my face. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. Her cold tone, the photo in the bath, her flat-out confession, and then there was the last thing she said to me. You won't be the one to tell her. She was so sure I'd just roll over and accept that I'd stay quiet like some humiliated footnote in her new romance. But she forgot one thing. I wasn't the kind of man to keep another woman in the dark, especially not about something this vile. So yeah, I hit send. I messaged her boss's wife. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I told her I was the husband of the woman her husband had been sleeping with for the past few months. I attached a picture of Aaron and I from our wedding, added a screenshot of her boss's public profile, and left my number in case she wanted the truth straight from me. I didn't expect her to respond, but she did. Within an hour, she called me. Her voice was shaky but sharp. She'd had suspicions, too. Late-night meetings, distant behavior, new passwords, the usual red flags. She asked questions. I gave answers. She cried. I apologized for being the one to break her world open, but she thanked me. He told me I was being paranoid, she whispered. But I knew it. I knew it. By morning, the fallout had already begun. Apparently, she confronted her husband right away. He denied it at first. Of course. But when she told him my name and said she'd spoken to me directly, the lies crumbled. He admitted to everything, and just like that, the man Aaron threw our marriage away for abandoned her. By that afternoon, he had blocked Aaron on every platform. At work, he requested to be placed on a different client team and filed a statement with HR. The affair had crossed workplace boundaries, and people were starting to whisper. HR launched an internal review. Aaron called me 4 times that day. I didn't answer. She texted, I need to talk to you, please. Then, you've ruined my life. I can't believe you told her. I didn't respond. Let me be clear. This wasn't revenge. This was accountability. For weeks I'd been losing sleep, doubting myself, thinking I was the problem. All while she snuck around behind my back with a married man who had 2 kids waiting for him at home. No, I wasn't going to stay silent. She wanted chaos. She got it. Over the next week, things spiraled for her. A mutual friend, Sasha, who worked at the same firm, told me the rumors spread fast. People started looking at Aaron differently. She went from being admired to being the woman who almost helped wreck a marriage and a career in one shot. Sasha told me that Aaron came into work 2 days after everything broke, looking like she hadn't slept. Apparently, she tried confronting her boss, but he walked away mid-conversation cold, just like she had been to me. Maybe now she understood what that felt like. The next time Erin called me, I answered not because I wanted to hear her out, but because I needed to hear myself say it out loud. It was over. She started crying as soon as I picked up Lucas. I messed up. I don't even know what I was thinking. He said he was going to leave her. He said he loved me. I stayed silent. I wasn't trying to hurt you, she continued. I felt like we lost something, like I needed more. I finally spoke. And you thought you'd find that with a married man, she sniffled. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I almost laughed. Well, it did. You made your choice, Erin. I'm just here to finish what you started. Silence? I can't believe you told his wife, she said bitterly. That's funny, I replied. I can't believe you ever thought I wouldn't. She tried to spin it, said she had been manipulated, said her boss took advantage of her. Emotional vulnerability. But I knew Erin too well. She wasn't naive. She was calculated. She didn't just fall into his arms. She dove in headfirst. While I was still making dinner and planning surprise date nights, she begged me to reconsider, asked if we could do couples therapy, said she'd quit her job, start over, that we could move somewhere new and put this all behind us, but there was no us anymore. She killed that version of us the night she asked me to take a photo in a bubble bath meant for another man. I told her it was over, that we'd file for divorce and I'd make it as clean and quick as possible. No drama, no dragging things out. But I wouldn't take her back. Ever. You threw away something real, I told her. For a man who only ever saw you as a distraction, she cried harder then, told me I was being cruel, that I didn't understand what she'd been going through. But she was wrong. I understood perfectly. She wanted more. She gambled for it. And she lost. The next few weeks were strange. Quiet. I boxed up the rest of my stuff, she mailed. Moved into a new place near some old college friends in California, took a new job closer to the ocean, changed my number. The strangest part wasn't the silence, it was how fast I started to feel free. Like I had been breathing with a weight on my chest for so long that I didn't realize what air really felt like. I stopped checking her social media. Deleted our photos. I kept one though, our wedding picture. Not out of nostalgia, but as a reminder of how convincing people can be. Of how important it is to listen to your gut, and of how quickly something beautiful can rot from the inside. One evening I ran into Sasha on a video call. We hadn't spoken in a bit, but she gave me an update. Erin had requested a leave of absence from work. HR had reprimanded both her and her boss. He was staying. His connections made that easier, but her reputation? Shattered. She was the one who told me the cherry on top. Apparently. The boss's wife left him, took the kids, moved out. Filed for divorce. Sometimes I wonder if Erin ever thinks about that, about how she ended up with nothing. No husband, no lover, no job security, just a pile of broken promises and a reputation in flames. As for me, I met someone unexpectedly. She's kind, gentle, the opposite of dramatic. We're taking things slow, but it feels safe, easy, honest. Some days I think about how close I came to staying, how easily I could have forgiven her lies if I hadn't trusted that feeling in my gut. But I didn't stay, and now, I'm living proof that sometimes losing someone isn't a failure. It's the beginning of finding yourself. Erin made her choices, I made mine, and I'd choose freedom every time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more of these stories.